Okay, so some background information. Your mind is like a computer. So imagine your computer contains files. There's a filing system with a computer. So just like your mind, there's a filing system. Your mind is full of files from the past. There's actual files about the future, the present. Some of these files you have easy access to. You can pull a file out quite easily. You might want to change it, you might want to delete it, you might want to overwrite it, etc., etc. Now that's known as your conscious mind. Some of these files have been there a long time in the hard drive, and some of them are going rusty, some may even contain viruses, just like a computer. Now, these files are a bit more difficult to get to. So this is what I refer to as the subconscious mind. Now, the ones that contain viruses, the ones that are really deeply buried and very difficult to try and find on your system. That's what I refer to as the unconscious. So imagine your mind is made up of 3 parts: conscious, subconscious, unconscious. A lot of people refer to your mind as 2, the subconscious and the conscious. So they mix the subconscious with the unconscious, which is fine. And I'm going to do that tonight just to keep things simple for us. So why do you need to know this? Why is this important? I personally believe the root cause for more or less happiness, more or less success, more or less health, more or less joy, predominantly comes from one source and one source only, which is your mind. So these files, like the computer, are your thoughts and your belief systems. So your mind is creating a model of reality for you based on your programming. Now, this programming, most of it isn't actually yours, but it's what's been passed down to you by society, by your parents, by your ancestors. So you take this on as a child. You get programmed. Your thoughts become belief systems. And as a child, you're left at the mercy of this, really. You will take on these belief systems. Now, your thoughts and your belief systems impact your behavior and your actions, which then result in what you get back from life. So I hope you can see that connection. I hope that's simple enough for you to just start to grasp that concept, because this is complex and I could talk about this for hours, but I want to dive into some experience with you. So that's the basis. So the mind, conscious and the subconscious. Now, one thing which is really important you understand is the differentiation. Now, 10% of the results that show up in your life come from your conscious mind. So if the mind is, let's say, a big ball, 10% of that you're conscious of. The rest of that playground you aren't even aware of. This is what we refer to as what you don't know, you don't know. That's stored in your subconscious. So this is things like your fears, deep-rooted fears, insecurities, traumas. So this is where we often get blocked or stuck, because the subconscious mind will often hold us back. Your conscious mind is where you can make a decision. You're much more conscious and aware of, you might say, okay, right, I'm going to get up in the morning, go for a jog. That might be fairly easy for you to do, but it's where you have choice and you can make the changes and nothing's really getting in your way. It feels like flow and ease. Now, you know when the subconscious mind is at play because you'll feel like there's an invisible barrier. You might feel that energetically, with, I just don't seem to be able to shift or move beyond this same pattern or habit or cycle that I keep creating. Or you may feel it emotionally as a huge wave of emotion, or you may feel it physically as a ache, a pain, disease, toxicity. So that means the subconscious mind has several files in there that really could do with being cleared out. So mindfulness and meditation, what that does is start to create space, because it's space that creates more potential, more possibilities. It's through space we have creation. Now, I believe the biggest disease in society right now is lack of internal space. That comes from the mind first. So if we can start to create some internal space, the body's intelligence can kick in to start to do some repair on our emotions, physically, mentally, etc. So it's hugely powerful. Now, this isn't an easy feat. So it's not something that you're just going to sit cross-legged and in 10 minutes you're going to have cleared lots of space. This needs discipline, it needs regular practice. So 10 minutes a day is what I would love you to start with and commit to doing. You can find 10 minutes a day for this, because I promise the results are phenomenal. They really are life-changing. Okay, so before we get on and have a little practice with slowing our brainwaves down, I want to introduce you briefly to how the brainwaves affect your state of mind. So I've just shared with you a little bit about the mind, the background, the conscious and the subconscious. The subconscious, yes, that's where all our fears, our insecurities, our wounds, trauma exist. But that's also where our power and our potential and what we refer to as creativity, consciousness, source, flow, being in the zone, all come from. So if you can face your subconscious mind, you can break through and you come back to flow. But most of us don't know how to move something from the subconscious, the unconscious mind, to the conscious mind, firstly, safely. Secondly, without the mind going into fight, flight, and reaction. So you need training to do this, because we haven't been taught how to do this at school, which means we stay stuck in lives dependent on our programming. But when we learn how, we can become the masters of the mind and move things from the subconscious and the unconscious into consciousness. We have transformation. So how do we do this? So we do this by slowing down the brain waves. Now, there are 4 key brainwave states. Well, in actual fact, there are 5, but the last one, gamma, we're not going to go into tonight. It's a fairly newly discovered state. So your brain vibrates, full stop. Now, this vibration of your brain can be measured by cycles, a bit like the heart. So if you imagine the electric field of the heart can be measured by an ECG, the brain can also be measured by cycles per second. So we have 4 states. We have beta, alpha, theta, and delta. You might hear about gamma, but that's the one we're not talking about. So just briefly, because I can do another video on this for you. Beta is your conscious waking state. So this is the state you're in throughout most of the day. So I'll give you an example of the beta state. I've got something to share with you and it's really exciting. I want you to know this. So you'll notice my voice will start to speed up. I want to do something. I'm in action mode. So this is very much high achievers, or we're doing a project, or we're getting excited about something. We're sharing information. That's the beta state. Nothing wrong with that state. But if we're in that state predominantly, or for the majority of the day, that's when it causes problems for us. Now, unfortunately, society has got us caught up into a cycle or a paradigm where we're starting to move much more into this state, which is a very alert state, is a very highly active, fired up state, which is not natural to us to be in that state for that length of time. So this is the main cause for things like stress, anxiety, and restlessness. So we need to learn how we can switch off from being in the beta state more often through our own deliberate action. Now, we can do this by learning to slow the brainwaves down. So we want to start to do that by slowing the beta brainwave state down to the alpha state. So the alpha state is a much more receptive state. So again, you'll notice in my voice, it starts to slow down. My heart rate starts to slow down a little. I'm more able to connect with you, hear you. You can feel me more. There's more space. There's more connection there as well. Now, we're not conditioned to go through our daily life like this. Yoga teachers are. We do this a lot, and I think wind everybody up because we can be so much slower in our talk, our language. We feel, we're sensitive, we're much more present in the body. It's called embodiment. But because the alpha waves have been slowed down, it also means that we are in a light meditation state. So this is what we're going to practice and experience today. So those are the two brainwave states. So the alpha state is experienced with light meditation techniques, breathing techniques, visualizations, guided meditations, and creative work. But it doesn't take you into the other two states. So this is why I created Med Yoga and the 7 keys, because that's designed to take you into the theta and the delta states. Why do we want to go into the theta and delta states? Now, the theta state, again, brainwaves slow down to 4 to 7.5 hertz cycles per second. So we're coming down much slower. So when we slow the brainwave cycles down, we then start to allow the body's intelligence to kick in to heal and repair. So this is where you will find a lot of healers doing their work, shamans and yogis spend their time. They're in a much more highly evolved state because they've learned to disidentify from the clutter in the mind and be much more embodied. So theta state is really powerful for healing and going deeper. The delta state is transcendence. So this is when we've completely disidentified from the mind. The mind has no power over us whatsoever. And this is also the state where the real deep yogi practitioners, spiritual leaders, teachers spend a lot of their time. They're completely connected to what we call source consciousness energy. So this is really the ultimate goal of yoga. So if any of you do yoga or study yoga, that's really the yogic pathways to move towards complete freedom of the mind and enlightenment. But we're not going there today. So let's start to experience the alpha state. It's ever so subtle. So close the eyes if you haven't already. So the moment we close the eyes, we're letting go of the visual distractions. And as we let go of the visual distractions, we're going to come back much more deeply to feeling, sensing. So let's take a nice deep breath together. Inhale. And exhale through the mouth. And again, nice deep inhaling breath. Exhale. And again, nice deep inhaling breath. Let the belly balloon, expand. Exhale. Keep the eyes closed. And we're just going to take a moment to arrive, to bring our awareness into the present moment. So we're letting go of the past, letting go of the future. In this moment, I want you to let go of any expectation you have over the future, who you think you should be, where you think you'll be, what needs to be done. Let it all go for now. Let go of anything you feel is not complete from the past. In this moment, know everything has found resolve. And so we're freeing ourselves from any attachment the mind has over the past stories, future stories. So as we let go of those attachments from the mind, we'll start to connect much more deeply into what I refer as your presence. So just take a moment to see if you can feel what I'm referring to when I say presence. Who are you beyond the mind? When the mind isn't interfering, allowing yourself to settle into the body, into just being in this space. So it only takes 3 deep breaths, a slowing down, awareness of the present moment to move into the alpha state. So in fact, you should all be in the alpha state now. The breath moves deep into the belly, so this is known as deep abdominal breathing. The belly balloons and expands on the inhale. It's roughly a count to 3 as you inhale and 3 as you exhale. Now this starts to rewire the neurological pathways in the brain, starts to reprogram the mind to feel safe, to trust that this moment is safe to be in. Good. Okay, so that seems really simple, but I would love you to keep practicing that throughout the day. So it's 3 deep breaths into the belly as you inhale, 3 deep breaths as you exhale. For those of you that feel really confident with that, and hands up, I forget to breathe like this throughout the day so often. I have to remind myself. If you feel confident with that, move on to 3 deep breaths on the inhale and 5 on the exhale. So let's do a few rounds of that together, just to start to program the mind with that memory. So when you're ready, inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue. Don't control the breath. Don't force the breath. Allow the breath. There's a difference when you allow the inhale. When you allow the exhale, it's stronger, it's deeper, it's longer, because it's not being controlled by how the mind thinks it should be, but by your own higher self, your own natural instinct, which is beyond the mind. Good, okay. So let me give you, before we complete, as we're diving into the alpha state, which is the first brainwave state we want to move you into from the beta, the waking state. This is also going to be a lovely quick tool you can use anytime throughout the day to move you back into alpha. As often as you like. There is no amount of time or a maximum dosage on this. Okay, so get nice and comfortable. Good, okay, so take one hand and we're going to be using the failure. Now this is simply a variation to what is anuloma viloma, which is alternative nostril breathing in yogic terms. So we're going to be using the thumb and that small finger to block on and off with the nostrils alternatively. So I'll lead you into this. If you get it wrong, don't worry, we've got plenty of time to practice. So again, most importantly, don't control the breath. Allow the breath. So block off the right nostril with your thumb. So inhale through the left nostril, 1, 2, 3. Block both nostrils. Exhale straight out through the right, 1, 2, 3. Inhale through the right nostril, 1, 2, 3. Block both and then release out the left. Exhale left, 1, 2, 3. Inhale left, 1, 2, 3. Block. Exhale right. Continue. Start to lengthen the breath to 4. Some of you may be able to lengthen that to 5. Practice with your eyes closed, and I want you to notice your mental state. What happens to your mental state when you practice this? Now remember, your mental state is really the key that impacts you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It can either create a heaven or hell. Good. Okay. And release. So well done. Thank you for staying with me. Now, if you have any questions whatsoever, I would love to know, because I'm going to be picking questions throughout the month, and I will just dive into the group and answer a handful of these questions for you. So if you have questions about the brainwave states, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual transformation, healing, etc., frequency, spiritual awakening, do ask me. This is really an opportunity for you to get some free coaching and some tips and tools, and it's my passion to share it with you. So I will pick a few questions a month and answer those. So takeaways from tonight's session is your brainwaves affect the state of your mind. The state of your mind impacts your life, your health, your relationships, your career, everything. It really does. So it's super important to start to learn how to transform the old programming within the mind that's not serving you. The old programming that's holding you back and not allowing you to live how you would really love to live. You can change this programming. It is possible to change this programming. It's not done overnight, so this isn't a quick fix. And I wouldn't want it to be a quick fix, because the journey here is really about learning about ourselves, not trying to rush the process, not trying to get to the top of the mountain, because when we do that too quickly, we just crash back down anyway. So it's one step at a time. So 4 brainwave states, and I've given you a couple of exercises that will move you into the alpha state, which is a far much richer, deeper, healthier place to be in than beta during your waking state. Beta is necessary. We want to go there. It's useful, but not too often. So start to practice what it feels like to be in the alpha state through meditation first. By practicing in meditation first, you'll start to experience that state in the body, so it becomes your new norm. Once it becomes your new norm, in everyday life, you're going to know much sooner when you've stepped away from it, because you'll be much more sensitive. So often we can be in the beta state even when we've experienced some alpha, but we can't pick up on it until it's become really destructive or unhealthy for us, or it's burning us out. So the beta state, when we're in that too often, it leads to burnout. So practice being in the alpha state by using those 2 exercises so you can feel how it feels mentally, emotionally, physically, get used to it. And then you'll be much more connected to that state and drop into that state naturally throughout the day. So I hope this has helped. It's been an absolute pleasure to serve you. We have the schedule of new classes, so we've got some fabulous teachers who are going to be joining us this month. So please do enjoy their classes. I'll be joining their classes, and stay connected with us all. If you're not on my newsletter list, please do get onto the newsletter list, because I'll be sending out my monthly 3-minute mind miracle, which is the 3-minute exercise to keep you inspired, and tips and tools. So that's www.thelightworkercoach.com. I'm also going to be holding some silent retreats and some workshops. So I'll send those out on the newsletter list if you're interested in joining me. But stay healthy, stay well, and most importantly, stay connected to your heart. When you stay in the heart, the mind cannot take you out in the way it usually does. Sleep well, lots of love, and namaste. The light within me honors the light within you. Night, night.